This is great. Dr. Scott Gottlieb, former FDA commissioner, CNBC contributor, board member of Pfizer and Illumina. And doctor, put on your clinician hat. You have practiced. Well, let me start with, okay, 74 years old. He may be a little bit overweight, yet the numbers are still on his side with no comorbidities. What have we seen for COVID-19? It's just, to be kind of clinical about it, but what are his risk factors at this point in terms of percentages?
Well, thanks for having me. We wish the president and Melania well.
Yes,
just
definitely.
Top of the hour, top of the message, and Hope Hicks and the other White House staff who have been exposed here. It's deeply concerning, but they all have a good chance of doing well. He was previously in good health by all reports and will get excellent care. The critical question right now is the president or Melania or Hope or other White House staff who may have been exposed symptomatic. That would give us a lot more information about the risks they face. So your question, does the president have risk factors? The answer is unfortunately yes. The president's in a high-risk group simply by virtue of his age. He's 74. He's also reported to be overweight. He has an elevated BMI. There's every reason now to expect that the president will do well and recover. We're all wishing him well, as I said, but the risk is still high because of age alone. So for every 1,000 people in their mid-70s or older who are infected, around 11.6 will succumb to the virus. This is data out of the UK. That's for people 75 and above. Now, if you're below 75, the risk of death is about 3.4%. That's the largest study that's been done looking at risk of death based on age alone. Now, this didn't take into account comorbidities, and the president is reported to be in excellent health. There's some other studies that have been done that showed lower risks, one in Geneva showing that the risk of death was 5.6% for those over the age of 65, another study in Spain showing 3.4% for those between 70 and 79. So not trivial, but there's every reason to believe the president will do well and will recover. What we need to know right now is whether or not he's symptomatic. If he remains asymptomatic, as Eamon said, he can be quarantined in the White House, observed, and hopefully get back to a schedule in a reasonable course of time. If he becomes symptomatic, it's obviously a longer course at that period. The incubation period for COVID-19 is thought to extend about 14 days with a median time of about 4 to 5 days from exposure to symptom onset. So the president's going to be observed very closely right now.
One reason I said you're a clinician, okay, what do we do right now? Because we've had you on many times. We talked Remdesivir, how that, when it's taken, whether it's early or later, what it can, whether it shaves a couple days off of recovery. Then we went to, there was a steroid that seemed to be better if it was already, maybe there was some type of immune response that was too high. And then there's also a Regeneron antibody cocktail that seems to and there's the convalescent plasma as well. What do you think doctors are doing right now, or should be doing right now, with the president?
Well, I think they'd probably be considering Remdesivir. Remdesivir is indicated for hospitalized patients, but there is thinking that it probably improves outcomes the earlier it's introduced in the course of the disease. And so the question is the president symptomatic now? And so you consider Remdesivir. Steroids you wouldn't be considering at this point. It's indicated only when patients have sort of the inflammatory response. So after they have the viral response period, the first week of the illness, they become sick. When they start requiring oxygen and they go into that second phase of the virus that we've talked about where they're having an inflammatory response, that's when steroids seem to be most effective. The antibodies could be effective in this setting. There's every theoretical reason to believe that the earlier you would introduce those antibodies, the more benefit you would derive. But the data on those drugs is so early, I doubt the White House is considering that at this point. I think the only thing that the doctors might consider at this point, given that it is the president, given what we have available, might be Remdesivir, where there is a belief, there's data demonstrating that it improves outcomes in hospitalized patients, and there's good reason to believe that if you would introduce it early in the course of the disease, it would have the same positive benefit.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.